Thank you. Good afternoon, savvy ladies. Again, I'm Precious Williams. I'm the proud founder and CEO of Perfect Pitches by Precious. And today I welcome you to Pitching for Profit. Isn't that a great picture? That's what we are. We're in bloom now. And so, who am I? And as Maggie just gave a brief presentation, a brief bio on me, I truly love to teach the art and science of pitching, whether that's in sales, elevator pitching, media pitching, investor pitching, speaker pitching, and interview pitching. I love what I do because I never thought that this is my dream job, and I actually have it. And so, just so we're clear, I'm a proud graduate of Spelman College, and I am a proud graduate of Rutgers School of Law. I was a successful New York City-based attorney before I became the killer pitch master who slays all competition. And I do that for some of the biggest companies and corporations, foundations, and nonprofits in the world, right? I've been speaking professionally since I was 16 years old. I am now a proud 42. I know the doll is 42. And being a 13-time national elevator pitch champion, I'm also a 3-time #1 best-selling author of the Bad Bitches and Power Pitches for Women Entrepreneurs and Speakers Only series. In fact, my third book, Pitching for Profit, just debuted at #1 on April 13th, 2021. And just last Friday, Forbes magazine reviewed it positively. And so there's an article in Forbes that you can look up right now by Elaine Pofeld, who works with entrepreneurs who earn $1 million plus in their businesses. And again, I'm so delighted to be here. And so let's get it popping, pitching for profit. Here's some of the companies that I work with. This is not an exhaustive list, but these are just some. And so let's talk about the true tea. What's the reality of business today? What's the reality of entrepreneurship, speaking, getting yourself out there, corporate America? What's the true tea? The true tea is, in the pandemic, we went from physical engagements and physical networking events to virtual overnight. And a lot of times with the virtual environment is that many are feeling discouraged. They're feeling like they're not getting a real good feel on who people are, and that people are putting on a lot of airs, but if you met them in person, you wouldn't get that feeling altogether. Speaking gigs have been canceled, and people are always women especially, are always looking for ways to truly stand out in a crowded marketplace. And as you all are savvy financial professionals, we always need to know how to set ourselves beyond everyone else and to truly be counted. So I want to teach you how to #create your own lane. And none of us want to hear the same BS being peddled by gurus. I don't want to hear it. You don't want to hear it. And so being the killer pitch master, one of my greatest superpowers is being able to see where a woman is right now and where she's going and how to get there, how to help her get there. I'm very strategic, I'm very precise, and I'm very cunning in how I do it. And you'll learn that today. So, for profit. Is there another way? Is there another way to not give in to the pandemic and economic downturn and social unrest? Yes, there is. So when it comes to pitching for profit, here's some of the things that I want you to take into consideration. And I realize that as I go through this process, and you will have a copy of this presentation to take with you because it's a lot to handle all at once. But if you start incorporating these tips, tricks, and techniques into your repertoire, into your armor, you'll start to see results. Is there another way? You see what Leonardo DiCaprio said, hell yeah. So because I'm practical and tactical, I want you to really list off the top 3 companies, organizations, nonprofits, and foundations that you want to be connected with. Yes, I understand that Savvy Ladies is its own organization and nonprofit, but there are other places that you can truly benefit from being associated with. What are those top 3 organizations? What would you like to do with them? How would you like to partner with them? How would you like to have them in some way benefit Savvy Ladies? Why? If you're not clear on the why, that's going to be a problem. Is it for donations? Is it for influence? Is it to get their network to see the value of what it is that you're doing, no matter where you are in corporate America, nonprofit, or foundational space, and really use that to your advantage? The part of pitching for profit is you want to be able to monetize your network. And very few of us think about monetizing our network. We think about pitching ourselves, but I want you to get into the mode of when you pitch for profit, other people are pitching for you. So if you know what the top 3 organizations, foundations, nonprofits you want to be associated with, Have a clear why. You may not say it to them, but I need you to have a clear why. What is your zone of genius? What can you bring to the table that no one else can in the unique way that you do? If you think you do the same thing that everybody else does, pause. We have a problem. We have a problem. Savvy Ladies doesn't do what everybody else does. So neither should you in whatever industry that you're in. What is your zone of genius? Mine is pitching. When I started, everyone was a motivational speaker, transformational speaker, inspirational speaker, financial, and that was all great. But I'm not well versed in that. I'm versed in pitching and showing people like I did. I went from negative $400 in my bank account to one pitch earning $500,000 on live television. And then turning out to become a 13-time champion who appeared on the Wall Street Journal, CNN, Wall Street, Forbes magazine, and all that kind of stuff. And I never paid for it. Very few people can say they've never paid for PR. I haven't. Think about that. What's your zone of genius? And being very clear about that. And if you don't have the answer to that, ask your trusted network, not your family and friends, your trusted network, because they're going to see things in you that you can't see in yourself. And why should they choose to work with you? That's why it's very important to go in a very systematic order. You want to know, who do you want to work with and why? What do you bring to the table no one else does? And why should they choose you? As I've said to you in a prior presentation, you need to have 150 reasons why somebody should hire you, book you, work with you, refer you. And I want you to do the first 10 or 15 by yourself, and then start asking your network, because your network is going to see things again that you don't see in yourself. They're going to see that you're playing small when you should be playing at a bigger playground. When I started pitching, I was just trying to work with people who wanted to be in pitch competitions. I was going to run out of clients. When I was able to see that I could take pitching into corporate America, into foundations and nonprofits, business exploded for me. Exploded. In fact, my biggest client right now is LinkedIn. I'm stunned. And I don't have an Ivy League degree. And yet they rock with me. In fact, I spoke at Harvard University last night. Can you believe that? The very thing that people said I couldn't do, they called on me yesterday because they called on me to speak last night because I'm the best in the world at what I do. Think about that. Enticement. This is not about how to create speaking topics, but I really want you to think about how to truly stand out. So where does it all begin? If you really want to approach people, where does it all begin? How do you want companies, conference event planners, and your audience to feel about your topic or title? So this is if you are a speaker, but this will help you in a variety of industries. What you speak about matters, but the title will draw people in, right? And so when I say pitching for profit, or my book, The Bad Bitches Playbook to Convert, people just love the title and they bought it on that alone. You're really like, well, did they read it? No, they just bought it because they love the title. So how do you want your audience to feel about your topic or title? Do you want them to just sign up because they just love the title and they hope that they're going to get something out of it? That's what you really want. And then you blow them away with an incredible presentation. Do you want to stand out or fit in? Some of us don't want to admit it, but we would rather fit in than stand out. And then some of us would rather stand out than fit in. You're never going to see me in a black suit. You're never going to see me in a blue suit. When I go to speak, I like to look unique, flavorful. I like to be the client and the president of Perfect Pitches by Precious. I want to stand out. My pitches are awesome. But if I want to, look like I work at certain companies, that doesn't really work for me. So you must be a product of your product. Wear a brooch, something that truly makes you stand out, that they're always going to know that's her. A signature color, a hat or something. Always be willing to stand out. And if you do want to fit in, then ask yourself, what field do you really want to be in? If you want people to take notice of you, if you really want them to book you, if you really want them to hire you, if you really want to get those donation dollars, you're going to realize over time that if all you're doing is sound like everybody else, you get treated like everybody else. Average, random, or ordinary. What are the hottest topics in your industry right now? In financial services, what are the hottest topics? What are things that are never going to go out of style? You have to know those. Even if you don't speak to them, you have to know those. My question to you is, once you know what the hottest topics are, what do you see on the horizon? So as much as I love pitching, when I started pitching back in 10, 12 years ago, people only thought of Shark Tank, not understanding that pitching is something you do every day. And my job was on the horizon. I was going to see a way that if people don't appear on Shark Tank, if they don't pitch to media, then people think pitching doesn't exist. So on the horizon, I knew that I was going to have to do this breakdown of how you do it every day and everyone needs it. If you're interviewing for a job, if you're a speaker, if you're at a networking event, everybody needs one. And so how do I take it from something that people think is only for 2 or 3 things and bring it into everyday life and speak to that? Because while the other people are speaking to the other things that are tried and true, I'm a visionary, so I'm going to always look forward and bring the crowd with me. That's a part of being a visionary and a trailblazer. Here are the must-haves. Here are the must-haves that companies, corporations, nonprofits, foundations, individual clients are looking for right now. Do you have a speaker one sheet? Do you have a media kit or list of places you have spoken or been at? Do you have testimonials on your website? Do you have testimonials on LinkedIn? In fact, my goal this year, I think I have over 150 testimonials from different companies, corporations, and individual clients on LinkedIn. People are like, how did you do that? Well, the greatest thing that I have learned is if you don't ask, you're not going to get it. And very few people right after a presentation will, like 12 hours later, I'm in your inbox, hey, what you think of the presentation? Could you really let me know what you think? And then I go on LinkedIn and I request a recommendation. Now, if they say they don't want to do it, that's fine. That doesn't happen to me. But I would know that people are looking at testimonials because they want to know that other people have trusted you. So don't forget the power of testimonials, because that's pitching for you, which allows you to pitch for profit. Don't forget about connections and warm intros. So I came from the inner city of St. Louis, Missouri. I didn't have connections to media. I didn't have connections to big companies and corporations. How did I do it? I literally, as I was building up my brand again from 2018 to now, I realized that I had to change up my networks. I needed to be around people who were forward thinking and at a higher level. And as I started to go into these different networks and not where I'm comfortable, I wanted to go into places where people hadn't seen me. So you don't see me at a lot of speaking events, like a lot of events that feature the speakers. I don't want to be in there. I want to be in places where industries don't even know someone like me exists to help them. And see, that's being strategic. Also, as people are getting to know me, I'm asking them to warmly introduce me to other people. But beyond all of that, if you're going to ask somebody to warmly introduce you, the greatest thing that you can do is have everything on deck for them. Your bio, your website, maybe even your media kit, maybe your speaker one, what other people have said about you, your LinkedIn pro, like have all of that already for them to make it easy. And when you make it easy, people are just going to talk about you all day and all night. So again, what you learn from the connections and the warm intros is don't be everywhere where your industry is all the time. Go to other industries, because you just might find out you'll learn something that you can apply back to your industry, or you'll also see that they need you elsewhere. And it's going to open up a whole new target market for you. Trust me. Trust me. Excuse me, I feel like I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me, I knew that was coming.
God bless you.
Oh, thank you, Queen. So anyway, how's this going so far? I'm not sure. I can't read chats or comments, but I want to make sure that you all are really getting it. Now we're in Act 3, noise and buzz. So how do you create sizzling content? This goes back to pitching for profit. Whether you're new or established, you must have the type of content that makes others seek you out and establish you as the go-to and only expert. Now, it's great to be an expert, but you want to be the one that is sought after. You want to be the one that, beyond all doubt, when people go to LinkedIn and they put in elevator pitch, I pop up all the time. And that's how Harvard found me. They went to LinkedIn looking for elevator pitch experts, and I popped up, and they went and they looked over all my stuff, and they were so stunned that I was a Black woman who had made it through the art and science of pitching, and they had never heard of me. So what do you think they did? They went, they did their due diligence. That's about creating sizzling content. And then we start noticing the companies that I'm surrounded by and that I work with, it was a no-brainer for them. I actually dropped tea, which young people call it tea, but you're really dropping nuggets on people on the daily. You know what I mean? You have to do it with strategy and precision. You have to, what are you really posting online? One of the things that I love to do is behind the scenes of what it is that I do. So probably 5 days a week, I'm at the post office mailing off books. This is not what Amazon, Walmart, Books A Million, Barnes and Nobles, all the places that already sell my books, they're going to sell from their thing. But for me, as much as there's some days I don't want to go to the post office, but I'm so honored that people will spend their money to get a hand-signed copy from me. I honor them by showing them the behind-the-scenes process of what entrepreneurship looks like. To many, it's a Birkin bag, being on yachts and stuff like that. That's great. But I also want to show that What we do is honorable, but it's not easy. And once you start to show people the behind the scenes, they get to see how hard and how challenging it is to do what you do effortlessly. Who wants to be at the post office at 9 o'clock in the morning? Not too many people, but I'm there at 8:30 to be the first in line, right? So what are you posting online? Are you asking questions? Are you throwing out juicy nuggets and little tidbits? Are you leaving breadcrumbs and clues for them to come find you? That's what you should be doing. Who are you trying to attract? So when you're dropping these breadcrumbs and these golden nuggets, are you tagging people? Are you, telling your friends, hey, big up this post, share it, and stuff like that? The reason why you're doing that is because you're utilizing social proof. And when you utilize social proof, that's not you telling it anymore. It's other people recommending you, which is what? Pitching for profit. Other people doing the work for you. And why are you posting? There has to be a reason for why you're posting. It can't just be, oh, I just need to. No, no, no. Strategy and precision of why you need to do it. There's a reason why, if I'm in Forbes magazine or my clients are on Shark Tank and stuff like that, I'm posting that one to show that my tips, tricks, and techniques don't just work for me. They work for my real clients, right? And also, if I'm at the post office, it's fun to me to just throw out something silly as I'm waiting at the post office. In addition to that, what am I working on next? What live events do I have coming up? What are some things that I like? If I'm doing a photo shoot, what's behind the photo shoot? Show them more of you. And I know it's hard for some people to show who they really are. But for me, after I came out of a dark place years ago, I realized that people didn't really know me. They knew me as a killer pitch master. They didn't realize that I do work hard and things aren't handed to me. And that comes from creating your own lane. And that's why pitching for profit is so important. Are you doing lives? I love doing Facebook lives. In fact, I have my own show on LinkedIn called Keeping It Real with the Killer Pitchmaster Show. It's live every Sunday. Live. I go hard for about 30 to 45 minutes. I go hard talking about a topic that I know that my audience wants to hear about. And plus, I do it through StreamYard, which was given to me by LinkedIn. And so I answer every question and I acknowledge every response. And people love it because they love knowing that the Killer Pitchmaster is talking directly to them. So find a way to make yourself authentic, but also the expert and elevating your brand. Where does your target market go from content like yours? Now, I know we've heard of Clubhouse and all that kind of stuff. I just want to stress you don't have to be everywhere. Where your people are, and you go there. I'm not on Clubhouse, although a big investor and I will be having a show on there probably in June or July. But in the meantime, I got my things to do. I got things I need to get off of my plate. And then we're going to do our thing. And I'm appreciative that he can wait while I get all other things I have in my life together, especially with my oral surgeries and things like that. So just think about that. When you make a name for yourself, there are opportunities that come, but being able to say, hey, let me get this other stuff off my plate and then we can do our thing, okay? So this is the power of pitching for profit. People will stay back and wait for you. Think about that. You don't hear that often, but they will wait. Mirror, mirror, are you a good fit for your network? So how do you pitch yourself to the right decision makers? A lot of us are pitching ourselves to gatekeepers. Learn how to get around gatekeepers. That's why I'm in particular people's inboxes. I am not calling anybody because I know I'm gonna deal with a gatekeeper, and it is your job to keep me out. But I'm gonna show you I can get to anybody. Trust and believe that. And so how do I do it? Is by utilizing the power of my network. Who in my network can get me to that person? What do I want them to say? Do you see what I mean? So I'm not worried about gatekeepers. Don't you worry about them either. Here are the top 3 ways. Okay. So make sure your network knows what you need and what you're asking for. Make the big ask at all times. Make the big ask. Don't be like, oh, I can just do well with. No, make the big ask and negotiate down. But don't make a small ask because you have nowhere to go. Get warm intros to others and make it your mission that every week, maybe Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you're asking for warm intros and making sure that your target market knows that. And then monetize and incentivize your network. So we all know that some of us have affiliate programs. Some people would love to come to your events for free. It's not even that they want money. They just want to come to your events for free and hobnob with your network. Find out what your network, your most trusted people in your network want from you and incentivize them to help you. Some people think it's all about the money. Sometimes it's really not. Sometimes people just want to be around you and see how you do things so they can really big you up, right? And really sell you to people higher and higher up. So think about that. And so for some of you who want to find speaking gigs online because that's part of your pitching for profit, have an awesome presence online. That's your website, that's your LinkedIn, that's your social media. But also, what's on your email signature? Why should somebody reach out to you? Do you have a link to something you've done, a talk, a book, or something? Do you have a picture of you? You want to have something that makes people say, you know what? Let me rock with her real quick. Ooh, she got a lead magnet. Ooh, she got free something. Or ooh, she got a book. Bad Bitches Playbook. All right, I want that. Give them a reason. Have an awesome presence online. Make it easy for them to be like, okay, I see what she's doing. Okay, I got it. So utilize all of your resources. So what's in your email signature? What goes out when you are being featured on somebody's event? Make sure to make it compelling enough for people to already just say yes. Last night, so I was speaking at Harvard University with SoGal Boston. And when I tell you, they sold out the event in 2 days and they didn't even know it, right? So I'm like, hey, y'all, we sold it out. They're like, oh, wow, we didn't even notice. Think about that. They weren't expecting certain things. They were just kind of like, hey, if we have 45 people in the room, that's great. But they thought it would take longer. It took 2 days. So then I asked them for more tickets. They sold it out in one more day. That was it. It took 3 days to sell my event out. Think about that. If I didn't have an awesome social media presence or awesome presence online, no one would care. And so here's your tracking system. You have to be your own GPS. So where are you right now? And be honest. Like when I started Perfect Pitches by Precious again back in October 2018, I couldn't have seen that I would be right here. I thought I had a 10-year plan that it went out the window in 4 months. Things happen really, really fast. So if you don't take an accounting of where you are right now, you have no idea where you're going. Where do you want to be? Who are the people that you need in your network? What kind of networking opportunities do you need to be? And here's a hint, you don't need to be at every networking event because some of these people can't ever help you. And so that's why I go to higher dollar events because I really want to be around decision makers. And it's not that I'm wasting my time with the other ones. It's just that I'm not begging for business, and I don't always want to be sold to by things that I already have great under my control. So if you really want to be around certain people, figure out where they really are. And since so much of it is virtual now, you can't just walk up and have a conversation. Make yourself stand out. Ask questions. You know, get top of mind with them. Remember, wear something that truly stands out. Stand and deliver. Remember, 3 to 5 days a week. And some of y'all, you can start off with one, but I would say, as you start making it up Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, you have to have a tracking system to see, you know, what kind of progress are you making? It's going to be slow at first, and then it's going to ramp up. Every time I wake up in the morning, I have probably 250 emails in my inbox. And I always want to get back down to like 10, and it never happens. But think about it, that's the number of people pitching to me to speak at their event. What are my speaking rates? And then there are just people in there just trying to talk a lot of noise. And so my thing is, when I started, I had no emails coming in. And now look at where I am, right? Think about that. Make a list of your top 200 contacts on social media and in your background. Make a list of them. And then systematically go through that list 1, 3 to 5 times a week, right? So start off with 1 at a minimum by the time you 3, right? And just go through them. You can do 1 a day. You can do 1 every other day, but go through that list. And I promise you, you start feeling momentum. Break that list down. What service is it? Financial services? Is it real estate? Is it professional services? Graphic designers? Like break the list down into industries. And that way it's easier for you to track how you're doing, okay? And then have your materials together so that when you start asking for help, you got everything that they need. There is no question. Always have a strategy. And so I'm not sure if we have time for hot seat because I literally can't see the time, but I just want you all to know that in bringing all of this together, remember your main goal is to pitch for profit. Your main job is to create your own lane and then have other people who know what it is that you do pitching for you to get you opportunities you didn't know existed. If you are a foundation or a nonprofit or whatever, you want to be having other people putting you on blast and making sure that people donate or that they see the value of what your organization does and how you are different and making it quantifiable and qualifiable. You know what I mean? And so as you create your own lane, as you start, building that 200-person list, as you start enlisting your network, as you start getting those warm intros, take advantage of these opportunities, because most people are too afraid to let people know they need help. Don't be those people. Go hard. And so if you wanted to learn more about like working with me or my strategies, my tips, tricks, and techniques for really pitching for profit and how to turn your network into a playbook to convert every conversation into real currency. And that's just not money, but that's also relationships. And remember, relationships will take you further than any dollar will, right? And so my first book is Bad Bitches and Power Pitches for women entrepreneurs and speakers only. My second book is Bad Bitches and Power Pitches, the workbook. So the first book talks about the psychology of pitching. My second book helps you create the right pitches for you. And then if you go to my website, www.perfectpitchesbyprecious.com, you'll see my online training, my digital products, the triple play for my books, my one-on-one coaching, group coaching. You'll also see where I'm speaking next. And if you want to come out and see, that'd be great. On May 22nd, I'm having a live and virtual event that's going to be in Brooklyn, New York. It's called True Tea Time with Precious, and you get to see a different side of me. A lot of my network is already going to be there. And so I'm gonna really share some things that you have not heard before that I think will be beneficial, and the right people are going to be in the room. So if you would like to learn more about that, go to True Tea. I think it's True Tea at eventbrite.com, right? Or go to eventbrite.com and put in True Tea Time with Precious, and you can get your tickets, okay? And again, my name is Precious Williams. I'm the proud founder and CEO of Perfect Pitches by Precious, and I'm so delighted to be here with all of you.
Thank you so much, Precious. That was amazing. That was so inspirational. Thank you. We can open it up for Q&A now. So as a reminder, you can use the chat box, or you can also use the Q&A section. So Precious, there's a question that came in for you that says, I'm not good at asking for help. So how do I ask people for referrals and help in a way that still feels authentic for me?
Okay, so again, I think that that's a very good question. And Queen, I think if you ask most people don't want to ask for help. As a woman, I've been homeless. I've been in and out of psych wards and everything. This was years ago. And one of the things I realized is if you ask, you won't have if you don't ask for it, right? And so one of the things that I had to be honest with myself with is, as great as I am, I don't want to be the best kept secret to anybody. I want people to put me out there. And so I just asked. And I know it sounds crazy. So I would go to a friend and be like, do you know anybody who works at NBC Universal? And I already knew that they did. I was like, well, I really would love to bring pitching into NBC Universal and maybe talk to something with their veterans initiatives, their ERGs. Would you be willing to make a warm intro to this particular person? And don't worry, I got everything for you. And if they had questions, I answered them. I was like, I really would love to take my business to the next level. And in order to do that, I need to be working with bigger and bigger companies. And so if you love what I do, and if you can see me there, would you do the warm intro? And I said, yeah. And it might be like, oh, they might be busy. So I'm like, could you write it? I got you covered. I got everything. I got swipe copy and everything. And that's how I did it, right? My job is to make it easier for them to just say yes. Because one word from a trusted person in my network to another person was all I needed. I could, as long as the door was cracked, I can go through the door. So, Queen, I will say this. Even though it feels uncomfortable, the more you ask now, the less you will later. I promise. I'm not begging for speaking gigs now. They're all coming to me because I kept asking for 2.5 years.
Thank you, Precious. That's a great answer. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another question for you that's asking if you have some tips to help determine those hot topics that people want to hear. What's the best way to figure out what's coming up?
Okay, so it depends on your industry. I would look at one of the things I would start looking is just go on social media and just type in whatever your industry is, whether it's speaking or motivational speaking or let's say financial services. Like just start doing that kind of go to Eventbrite, see what's in those particular things, and you're going to start to see the top 10 lists of what are most speakers speaking about. Think about for entrepreneurs how to start a profitable business, how to bait and attract new clients, how to do certain things. And you always want to see the how to's because people want that more than anything, right? So I would look in trade, I would look in trade journals, I would do research on the internet, and I would just start going on Eventbrite or any of these other ticketing places and just put in the industry and just start seeing what comes up. You're going to see the same things said in different ways, but you're going to know it's the same topic. When you know that, that's good. So you can make your list of the top 5 or top 10. And then as you're doing that, you can probably create your own based on that. But then I want you to think even more forward. What do you think is going to come next? Because this is for the beginners. What's going to be for the intermediates? What's going to be for the advanced? And that's how you create your own lane because they're not ready for you. But as they grow through this process, now they're built into your network and now you got them for life.
Great. Thank you. Thanks, Precious.
Thank you.
Here's another question that's saying, if you start getting speaking gigs, how do you make sure you know the audience you'll be pitching to? Do you have some advice for when you got started?
So when I started at 16 though. So it's a crazy question to ask me. I was 16. I wasn't even paying attention. Now, when I'm booked to speak somewhere, I ask those questions. Like who's going to be in the room? Who's generally going to do this and that? I need to know in advance. And so because I need to know in advance, it helps me prepare the best things, right? So I want to know the gender breakdown, financial, is this advanced, intermediate, or beginner? What are the type of people that come to these events? I like to ask those sort of questions. And the reason why I think it's great to ask those kind of questions is because now you are more fully prepared. For the times that you're not able to ascertain that information, just make sure that you give an overview. And when people start asking questions, do the deeper dive into those questions to showcase that you can go high and you can go low. Does that make sense? Because you're not always going to know it in advance, but if you have the opportunity, go for it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Thank you. And this looks like the last question we have for you, which is asking for some help on online presence that you talked about, building up your online presence. Do you suggest working with a team if you don't know much about websites and social media?
I think that one of the greatest things is if you're going to work with, of course, I think working with someone who's been there and done that is great, but you want to make sure they have receipts. Anybody can take pictures with Tony Robbins. That shouldn't impress you. You want to know that they've had success in the realm, right? So in building up your social media presence, no one could teach me because I had no money. So I had to do it myself. And that's why I'm very, very good at it, right? I don't follow what the 10 rules it says, like, because no. I'm unorthodox for a reason and I'm different for a reason, right? And so, but I have receipts. Most people don't have the receipts that they're trying to sell you they can do things. So always ask for receipts and make sure that you have the right chemistry with that person. They may be great, but if they're great on your personality, get rid of them because you're going to be bothered by that person. And finally, in addition to having receipts and having great chemistry, you also want to make sure that as you grow and develop, can they move with you? Or is there a time that you know you're going to have to move on? Okay. Like, what are your goals? Like, they can give you all the goals, like, oh, you can be here and there. If that's not really working for you, they're not the right person.
Mm-hmm. Very true. Very true. Thank you, Precious.
Thank you.
Those look like the questions that we have, but we will be sure to share Precious's information that she had in her presentation here. So if you want to follow up with Precious, we'll make sure we put that in our email and we'll send the recording as well. So Precious, I want to thank you so much for a truly inspirational presentation and a lot of practical tips as well. Thank you so much for speaking today. And thanks everyone for joining us.
Thank you all so very much, Savvy Ladies. It's always a pleasure. And if you want to reach out to me, my website is www.perfectpitchesbyprecious.com. On LinkedIn, I am Precious L. Williams, Killer Pitchmaster. On Twitter, I am at Perfect Pitch P. On Facebook, I'm at Perfect Pitch P. On Instagram, I'm at Perfect Pitches P. And on YouTube, I have my own channel, Perfect Pitches by Precious. And always on Sundays on LinkedIn, come out and check out my show, Keeping It Real with the Killer Pitchmaster. Thank you all so very much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.